Hey, what's going on, Fan Clan? Happy Friday. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you have a really good weekend. I'm really nervous about this weekend. Playoff start for basketball. I'm a huge Bucks fan. I'm sure many of you already know that. I've been very let down by the Bucks over the past couple seasons. I am cautiously optimistic for this season. I'm hoping we can get past the Pacers, and then who knows? Who knows if Dame comes back or when Dame comes back, if there's some chemistry that can form there, it'll be good. Brewers are starting to play a little bit better, which is awesome. Team Rocket came out officially in Japan, the Glory of Team Rocket set, and it looked like things were trending downward quite a bit. They are still trending downward. You probably saw booster boxes selling. Like the MSRP for a booster box in Japan is like, what, $38 or something like that? $40? I don't remember. But pre-orders were selling for almost $200. And then with all the chaos of the tariffs, they went even higher. And now that's backed off a little bit. And demand for the set has come down a little bit, especially internationally. So domestically in the United States, demand seems to have settled down a little bit after the card reveals and things like that. And that has caused the price to drop down a little bit. And we do own a Japanese card store. You can see the link in the description down below, kurosioshop.com. Typically, we carry a new set. But I did not order any Glory of Team Rocket. And I was up really late last night talking to suppliers over there and some friends over there about what they're seeing. And it still seems like prices did dip a little bit, but they're still buying. Stores are still buying at 20,000 yen, 18,000 yen, somewhere in that ballpark for a sealed box of Glory of Team Rocket. And basically what that means, once you factor in shipping and fees and everything else to send it over here, it's just too much. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, $150, which would be basically break even. And you can find them for like $150 right now. You can find them on Sneaker Dunk for cheaper, but once you factor in the shipping and the fees and stuff, it's closer to $150. It's just too much. It is too much. And I figured that I'm going to pass. I'm not going to buy it. I'm just not going to buy it. We're not going to stock it. We're not going to carry it. Unfortunately, at least not now. So I'm sure we will in the future at some point. Hopefully the price settles a little bit. But I feel like if you buy boxes in bulk and it's just contributing to the problem. You know what I mean? Like if there's, like we order 1,000 boxes of a new set, and basically the way it works is everybody waits in line over there, and then they sell to stores. They either choose to open up on their own or they sell to stores, and then those stores post their buy prices, which ends up being, 3 times MSRP, and then they will sell to either locals for, inflated prices, or they'll sell overseas for inflated prices or wherever. We're just not going to carry it. Same thing with the new Chinese set. The new Chinese 151 came in super high from suppliers. Then we're just not going to carry it. We don't want to, I just don't want to contribute to the, I know it's like, again, no white knighting or anything like that. I just don't, it's not worth the risk. Then you're just contributing to the problem. So hopefully things settle down a little bit. You can let me know if you've opened any. Obviously, it's the buyer's decision, right? Like, it's your decision if you want to spend that much money. I just personally think that it's too much. It's too much to even carry. So, Glory of Team Rocket, obviously going to be part of our Destin Rivals set, which comes out end of May. I have not had any numbers for Destin Rivals. I've been getting a lot of messages and emails and questions, like hundreds a day. When will you be dropping Destin Rivals? Are you going to be selling it for MSRP? Yeah, nothing has changed. I have not changed. Like, MSRP is like $159.99, so just slightly below MSRP. That's the plan for Destin Rivals. I have no idea how many boxes I am getting. I have no idea when we're going to put it out. I have no idea how I'm going to do pre-orders. I will make an announcement when I have a better understanding, to keep it fair for everybody. Like, I want to make sure that it stays fair for everybody. It's still going to be a very tough set to get. It's still going to be very expensive out of the gates, but I don't know what allocation numbers look like, and who knows? Maybe Pokemon did print more of this set. Maybe numbers will be higher than what we saw from even Journey Together. Maybe it'll continue to climb until things correct. That's the hope. That's the goal. So we'll see, but I will keep everybody updated on all that. I'll keep everybody updated on the prismatic reprints, which are supposed to be shipping next week. The 151 reprints, which are supposed to be shipping next week. A lot of people have had success with getting 151 booster bundles. They were up on the Pokemon Center website for a while. I think they were up on Target and Walmart's website for a while. And I'm sure that a lot of them got bought up and scalped to high heaven, but the important thing to remember is just not to buy. Don't buy at those higher prices if you can avoid it. Like, I think that if we all band together and do that, like, things will correct faster sooner than later. But we're gonna take a step back a little bit and talk about Crown Zenith, because I think Crown Zenith is a One of the best sets that's ever been printed. Not just because of the artwork. The artwork is fantastic, but also the pull rates. The pull rates on the set were absolutely amazing. And a lot of people were hoping that Prismatic Evolutions would have similar pull rates to what we saw from Crown Zenith. Obviously, that didn't happen. But Crown Zenith was like the perfect set. It didn't have a whole lot of competitive cards in it because the majority of it was reprints, right? Like, so the Mew in the set, the Raikou V in the set, like those are competitive, obviously. But for the most part, a lot of the cards are just more of a collector set. But it was great because it was readily available. It was a staggered release, so it wasn't really, I mean, it was a great balance for store owners and for consumers and for collectors because it was a staggered release, which kept things slightly close to MSRP. It was selling for a little bit below MSRP out of the gates, but then after release for a while, more sets kept coming out, and that brought prices down a little bit, but storefronts weren't losing their butts trying to stock Crown Zenith because it was still in demand enough that they could make at least a little bit of a margin off of it, and collectors could readily have it below MSRP, which was great. And they fell in love with the set because of the pull rates. And if you look at the pull rates right here, we had a really, really good video yesterday going over opening Pokemon cards. And Crown Zenith is a ton of fun to open. And I don't want to, don't get me wrong, I think Crown Zenith is going to be a banger set for a very, very long time. I think with all the rip and chips and the way that the culture is now in the Pokemon card hobby, I think that Crown Zenith is going to be open for a very, very long time. I also think a massive amount of Crown Zenith has been printed and distributed. I think that there's a lot that has been out there. We've seen a lot of wholesale stores like Costco, like Sam's Club, carrying Crown Zenith products for a very long time. They were available on Pokemon Center's website for a long time. Those Morpeko V Union boxes were available at Distro, even when there was no product available at Distro. So there's been an absolute ton of Crown Zenith that has been put out there, probably more so than even 151, and there's been a lot of 151 that's been put out there as well. But if you look at the pull rates for Crown Zenith, it is very, very loaded. So you are looking at about 20 hits per booster box if you add everything up, if you count everything per hit. Now, obviously, you can't buy a booster box in Crown Zenith, but 20 hits out of a 36-pack sample size is pretty crazy. So if you look at the amount of regular arts that you're going to get per booster box, you're looking at almost 4. That's 1 out of every 9 packs. Basically, you're gonna pull a regular art. The V-Star V-Max, you're gonna pull 1 out of every 16 packs. The Radiance, you're gonna pull 1 out of every 26 packs. Full art trainers, you're gonna pull 1 out of every 53 packs. The Secret Rares, which is just the Pikachu, has a pull rate of about 1 out of every case, 1 out of every 100 packs. And then the Galarian Gallery, this is what we're gonna kind of focus on here. The Galarian Gallery is split, kind of like what they did with the Trainer Gallery, where the front half of the Galarian Gallery, which is more of that smooth shininess, doesn't have really the texture to it. Those are going to be much easier to pull than the back half of the Galarian Gallery, which does have a little bit of texturing, and you can easily spot the difference between them. Obviously, the smoother ones have the yellow borders that go around them. 1 out of every 5 packs, you're going to get a Galarian Gallery card, but that means, since there's 34 of them in the set, 34 in that front half of the Galarian Gallery, each one has a specific pull rate of about 170 packs. So if you're chasing that Galarian Gallery Mew or that Galarian Gallery Bidoof, it's going to take you about 170 packs to pull it. Now, you'll pull plenty of plenty of Galarian Gallery cards in that 170 pack. You could pull all of them, but it's going to take you, with 34 of them being in the set, it's going to take you 170 packs to pull 34 of them, in which case, in all, like, it would be nice. It doesn't always work that way, but one of them could be whatever your chase card is. The back half of the Galarian Gallery, a little bit different. You're looking at about 288 packs in order to pull a specific one. So if you're really hunting down that Leafeon V-Star, or you really want that Suicune V, it's going to take you about 288 packs to pull it. You should pull 1 out of your ETB. It takes about 9 packs in order to pull a card from the back half of the Galarian Gallery, but 288 packs to pull a specific one. Why is that important? That is comparable to what you see right now from like a lot of illustration rares. So the price point right now that we're looking at for a lot of Crown Zenith cards should be pretty steady right now. Like, you might see a little bit up and down, and we're going to look at some of the cards here that are trending downward, and some of them are staying relatively flat. But you can compare them to some of the cards that are a little bit higher in demand from the illustration rares. Like, if you're talking about the Magikarp, obviously that would be more along the lines of like the gold cards, because that's the price point that it's at. But if you're talking about, I don't know, like the Steelix and the Ghastly, which sell for, $30 or so, somewhere around there, that would be the equivalent of some of the bigger illustration rares. Obviously, you have like the Bulbasaur and the Squirtle from Stellar Crown, which have a little bit more value. The 151 illustration rares have a little bit more value. But for the most part, a lot of the illustration rares have settled a lot, which is really, really good. But the pull rates, 1 out of 288 packs for a specific one. Then you break down those gold cards there, 584 packs to pull that Giratina. You get 1 out of every 145 packs. So there's 4 different gold cards. Obviously, you have the Palkia, the Dialga, the Giratina, and the Arceus. It's going to take you about 584 packs to pull 4 of them. So that's a little bit heavier. That's about the same lines as special illustration rares from the Scarlet and Violet generation. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about opening up Crown Zenith. And the reason that I say that is because Crown Zenith booster packs are starting to get a little bit more expensive. Same with sealed products. So cracking Crown Zenith doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, especially when some of the singles are starting to trend downward. This is kind of the product that really started a lot of craziness for Crown Zenith. So this is the Sea and Sky collection box. I actually went to samsclub.com the other day to see if there was any hope of any stock remaining in any zip codes, and I couldn't find any. So I have seen wins from some people at random Sam's Clubs where maybe you can go in person and they might still have some on the shelves, but for the most part I think these are pretty much gone. And it was a really good collection box because it had so many packs inside. You're looking at like 14 Crown Zenith booster packs inside. I forget the retail price of it, but it was relatively inexpensive, where the cost per booster pack was like under $3. But you can see kind of the craziness that started. A lot of people were clearing out Sam's Clubs. There was a lot of videos about managers backdooring product, people getting in fights, things like that. No different really than what we saw from the Blooming Waters collection box fiasco that happened at Costco. In October, this was selling for $59.36, which was a little bit above MSRP plus shipping. But if you look at what it's done over the last 6 months, it's just gone insane. And that's because of the amount of packs that are inside. Basically, now it's getting to the point where it breaks down to about the cost of just buying 14 loose booster packs. $124.76 is where it's currently sitting. It's about 110% growth over the last 6 months. Obviously, demand for this product is really shrinking down now that the price is getting to a point where it's kind of pricing some people out of purchasing it, whether it be rip and shippers or whatever the case may be. Whereas over here in January, you had massive amounts moving on a daily basis because people were just going in and wiping out whatever they could find at Sam's Club. It was jumping up to about 250 sales on a weekly basis. Now it's closer to about 25. So it's really lost its demand because of the price point that it's gone to. And that's why you really have to be careful with buying Crown Zenith, because it's all about liquidity. And once you get to a price point where the sealed product is basically only worth the equivalent of the packs inside, there's not going to be as much growth there for that sealed product item, unless it's a specialty item or a capstone item like the Elite Trainer box right here. So the Elite Trainer box has seen some massive growth, obviously, and it's still selling fairly well. Not as well as what it was in December and January, but still selling a little bit better than what it was in like August, when its price point was way down. $43.23 was the cheapest you could find it. That was about a year ago, after we had a decent sized reprint of Crown Zenith. Things kind of leveled off a little bit. Demand was not there for Pokemon cards in general, and it stayed relatively flat up until about September, and then it started to trickle up a little bit, and then the surge happened with Surging Sparks. People lost their mind. Everybody wanted every Pokemon card that was ever printed, and things just jumped up like crazy. It jumped up to 135.06 recently, currently sitting at 134.44 and continuing to trend upward a little bit, sitting at about 211% growth over the past year. Obviously, the Trainer Box doing really well, Booster Bundles doing really well. And again, that's because of the packs inside. Now it's gotten to a point where demand has dropped off a little bit because the packs inside have passed the price point of what a normal loose pack would sell for Crown Zenith. Now, you can't find loose packs of Crown Zenith, so the only way that you can sell loose packs of Crown Zenith is to crack open an existing sealed product like a booster bundle. And you can see these booster bundles came out late. Like, these came out like a year and a half or a year after the product actually released, which is why we don't have much data until about October of 2024. Then you started seeing a lot of Crown Zenith booster bundles pop up, and because of that, the price started out fairly low. It was only about $27.08, which was basically MSRP for a booster bundle, but then demand took over and it shot up like crazy. Now it's sitting at $66.77, so it's up about 135%, with the majority of that happening really over the last 6 months or so. Here's the Pokemon exclusive Elite Trainer box right here. Crown Zenith did have a couple of runs on the Pokemon Center website. I would be shocked if it had another one, but it was actually trending downward downward for the majority of 2024. You can see in April of 2024, started out at about $120 and then trended downward a little bit to October when it was at $113.20. Then it started taking off. It did have a little bit of demand, and that kind of set it off a little bit more. It jumped all the way up to $305.86. It has lost about 10% from that price point over the past month, so it's currently sitting at $274.96. One of the big differences between an exclusive product like the Elite Trainer box in the Sword and Shield era versus an exclusive Elite Trainer box in the Scarlet and Violet era is you don't have the stamped promo inside. You just have a normal Lucario V-Star inside. So you do get a couple extra packs. You get a different design on the Elite Trainer box, which is cool, but you don't have a stamp of Crown Zenith on that Lucario V-Star, which drives a lot of people to those exclusive products, especially in the Scarlet and Violet generation. And here is the booster packs right here. You can see just madness happening on a weekly basis right there in the middle of December. And that's really when Crown Zenith really started taking off as far as singles go as well. There was so much FOMO, so much hype, so much demand. It was absolutely nuts. It got to a point where 3,500 packs selling on a weekly basis, which is absolutely crazy. In August of 2024, it was sitting at $3.68 per booster pack, and relatively slow growth up until December. It still wasn't even at $5 per booster pack in December, and then things really started taking off as there was more and more demand, more and more content being recorded around it. A lot of people were like, well, I want to finish up Crown Zenith, and packs are still relatively inexpensive. Rip and shippers were getting a hold of a lot of packs, and then all of a sudden, Crown Zenith took off like crazy. Now it's $9.51 per booster pack for Crown Zenith. So if you go back and look at the pull rates that we were talking about at the beginning of the video and how many packs it takes you to pull a specific card, now there's a lot of different chase cards that you can have. Maybe you're okay. Maybe you're like, hey, Fanny, I like every single Galarian Gallery card. Then this is probably the set for you, and $9 per booster pack might not sound that bad to you, but it is a little bit pricey right now, especially with the age of Crown Zenith, and I don't expect a whole lot more. But with Crown Zenith singles starting to come down a little bit in a lot of different areas, maybe now's the time to finish off your Master Set, but look at singles instead. So here's the Giratina V-Star. We're just looking at 3 months of data for this one. It has grown a lot. If you rewind time about a year, this card was about $100. It was about to take off because we did have some manipulation that happened at the beginning of summer last year, really April, May. That's when we first started seeing like that alternate art Umbreon V take off, and then all of a sudden a lot of other alternate arts and these gold cards followed suit as well, where Giratina V-Star jumped up to like 185. Then it came all the way back down, crashing at the end of summer, beginning of fall, and then it started taking off again because of the boom, and it jumped up to $214.73 that you see at the beginning of January. Now it started to die off. Demand still seems to be there, kind of at the same thing, but at cheaper price points now as people start selling off their cards, maybe to save money for Destin Rivals, or maybe just because they're exiting the hobby because things are starting to heal a little bit. Here's the Arceus V-Star right here, kind of following a similar pattern, down about 15% over the past 3 months. End of January, it was sitting at $137.40. It ended up falling off over the last 3 months. It's down to about $109.90 right now. Again, demand still seems to be fairly consistent. The Mewtwo V-Star had jumped over $100 at one point. Now it's sitting right at $100, so currently at $100.13. That's a 3-month low for this one. You can see it did jump up to $127.29, so it lost almost 20% over the past couple months. Demand has fallen a little bit for this card, but definitely one of the chases of the set for a lot of people. If it's not the gold card, usually it's the Mewtwo V-Star, the Leafeon V-Star, cards like that. Very cool artwork, obviously, depicting this battle with Charizard, which is absolutely phenomenal. The Dialga V-Star didn't quite get to $100. It did get to $87.07 right there at the end of January, and it did go back to that point at the end of February, but then demand started slowing down a little bit. Now you can see the bottom has fallen off a little bit, where it's dropped about 15% over the past month. So it's sitting at $74.60 right now and continuing to trend downward. So with the comparison that these are equivalent of pull rates to special illustration rares from Scarlet and Violet, at least the more recent Scarlet and Violet sets, like Temporal Forces on, when pull rates started changing, Crown Zenith gold cards actually a little bit easier to pull. So that's why we start seeing some of the price points get a little bit closer, which is nice. Here's the Deoxys VMAX right here. This one has backed off a little bit. You can see it hit its 1-year high of $44.59, or 3-month high of $44.59. That was at the beginning of February, but that was massive growth after January, and it's not like demand shifted that much. You can definitely see at the beginning of January, middle of January, it did start selling a little bit more than what it is right now, but not like, you don't see this giant buyout phase of like 150 copies selling in 1 week on TCG Player. It's just demand isn't there as much right now, and because of that, it's dropped down to about $37.38. It's still nowhere near its 3-month low, which was $25.42. But if these cards continue to shrink down and trend downward, if you are waiting on Crown Zenith, now's the time where you really just want to start paying attention. I'm not saying you want to pull the trigger right now. You may want to just pay attention, see what things look like over the next month or so as the dust settles a little bit. Here's the Suicune V that we were talking about before. This one got hit pretty hard. It's down almost 25% over the past 3 months. And in January, it was sitting at $44.72. It dropped and then started gaining again at the end of February, and then dropped again. Demand seems relatively consistent. It's down a little bit from where it was at the beginning of the year, but now it's fallen to $32.59 and continuing to fall. The Zacian V kind of doing backwards things. Some of these cards very back and forth. The Zacian V starting to gain and continuing to gain. It's not seeing the fall like what we've seen from some of these other cards. Zacian V in January was at $12.29, and because it didn't have that higher price point, the demand isn't really impacting. So the lesser demand isn't really impacting it, because even though there's less people interested in purchasing this card, the fact that it's only $18.27 as opposed to like the Suicune V, which was $40, people are like, oh well, $18 isn't too bad, so I'm still going to buy it at this price point, which is very interesting. So it's up about 49% over the past 3 months. It's currently sitting at its 3-month high of $18.27. It looks like it's leveling off a little bit, so it might go in reverse a little bit if you're still waiting for this card, but definitely a different pattern of growth than what we just experienced with the last couple cards. Mew, the Sleepy Mew, fan favorite for a lot of people. Very cool looking card. Remember, this is from the front half of the Glaring Gallery, so this is a little bit easier to pull. It jumped up to almost $24, $23.94. It was a very competitive card, but now it has rotated out, so that Mysterious Tail is no longer in format, so you're not going to have competitive players really buying this card at all, which might cause it to shrink a little bit. But really, Crown Zenith, more of a collector set. A lot of people will pay different cards, different artworks than this one, just because of the price point that it was at. Now it's dropped down to about $15.93, which is really close to its 3-month low of $13.74. It's still up about 16% from that price point, but it's down, I don't know, 30% from where it was 2 months ago. Beautiful looking card, much easier to pull than some of those other ones, but definitely trending downward, even though demand seems fairly consistent. So you can see at the end of January, demand was a little bit higher, but then it dropped at the beginning of February, and it stayed pretty much at that price point now over the last couple months. Same thing with the Pikachu right here. Beginning of January, middle of January, it was at $6.60. It did balloon quite a bit, so jumped all the way up to $13.87, almost doubling in price. But then it kind of fell apart now over the past month and a half. It went from $13.87 down to $9.12, so it's lost half of what it's gained. So you're looking at about 20-25% drop over the past month and a half. Again, demand is still there, but the price point shrinking as people are selling off duplicates or extras or things like that, looking to get into different areas of the hobby or maybe a different hobby altogether. The last one that we're going to look at is this Irida right here, because this one has always boggled my mind, how this one is one of the cheaper ones. This is less than Gardenia's Vigor. This is less than Cynthia's Ambition, obviously less than less of Sparkle, but the Irida right here, which was supposed to be, it started off as one of the most expensive full art trainers in the set. It has lost everything, and now it's sitting at $7.66, which is its 3-month low. I think that's like an all-time low for this card. Its high point over the last 3 months was $11.05. There's just not the demand for this artwork that there was at the beginning of the set, and because of that, it has just fallen apart. Demand's still there, but I don't know if like this one is just more available or what, but this card has not followed suit with a lot of other Crown Zenith cards, which is, I don't know, interesting to me. I just thought it was very, very interesting that it's at this price point when you have other ones like Gardenia's Vigor, which is worth more. So you can let me know what you think in the comments section down below. But Crown Zenith, a very, very cool set. I just don't know if it's cool enough to be opening at $9 per booster pack. I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot more, but be careful, especially now, because Crown Zenith was one of those sets that saw this like giant growth pattern over the course of like a couple weeks, just a few weeks, where it just blew up, and now it seems to be racing because there is so much Crown Zenith that has been printed. There's so much Crown Zenith out there, especially on the secondary market. So be careful with what your spending habits look like when it comes to opening up Crown Zenith. Obviously, your goal is to find packs at MSRP to crack. Otherwise, you may want to transition and look at some of these singles to shore up your master set. But there's been a lot of people who have completed multiple master sets of Crown Zenith just because they love it so much. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like. It goes a long way for the algorithm. But ultimately, thank you just for being here. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. I love you guys. I'll talk to you again on Sunday. Till next time, peace.